We are going to watch the exclusive interview for Eurogamer with Miyazaki apparently. And yeah, I guess we are going to get some new information about DLC from there, at least I hope so. I still am coping a lot about Covenants, but hey, we're gonna get what we're gonna get. Anyway, let's jump into it.
I'm Zoe Dillhunty-Light, and I have a feast, nay, a banquet for you today, as we at Eurogamer got an exclusive interview with Hidetaka Miyazaki of FromSoft. So, what can we expect from Shadow of the Erdtree? Compared with previous games, Miyazaki said this DLC is our largest expansion to date in terms of overall volume.
Well, it better be 2
Miyazaki
years.
told us that, in terms of where the game takes place, it's a brand new area of a brand new map, which includes a structure similar to what you find in the base game, with field areas, legacy dungeons, and other dungeons of various scale. The map is going to be huge. In Miyazaki's words, in terms of pure surface area, you're going to be faced with something larger even than Limgrave in the base game.
And Limgrave is quite big.
Also developed its approach to field design. Concerning the world, Miyazaki told us that while the overall structure is the same, while we have these open field areas, we have the legacy dungeon areas, and the general divide between these areas is quite distinct. This time, we wanted to go more in depth, he said, and bring a more dense and richer level design, which brings these types of layout together a little more seamlessly. So there won't be, hopefully, as distinct a divide between these areas this time. There, of course, will be large open areas. There, of course, will be legacy dungeons, but we've also experimented with something a little more in between these as well, to bring up more diverse gameplay experiences.
Oh.
Further, there will be over 10 new boss fights, plus plenty of new weapons, new equipment, and new skills to find. And 8 new weapon categories have been added.
8 new weapon categories. Not weapons, weapon categories. Honestly, this is kind of unbelievable. I wonder if that's not like a mistranslation or just like a faux pas on Eurogamer part, because, dude, honestly, the only new moveset that we have seen so far was like the feet attacks, basically, and some throwable daggers, but 8 new weapon categories sounds fucking wild.
To account for the new weapon types, which begs the question, what could they possibly be? Anyway, ideas for the DLC began to form around the end of Elden Ring's development, as there were remaining ideas that were clearly not gonna fit in and would make more sense as DLC. Development then began around the time updates and patches for the base game had begun to settle down. Expansions for previous FromSoft games are notorious for upping the difficulty.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna actually stop here for a second, because I started thinking about the sentence. It essentially means that they legitimately started developing this DLC after the main game was finished. So it was like a last moment call of the type, yo, listen, we actually are probably supposed to make DLC for that insane success of a game that we have. Because that normally wasn't the case. Normally, from that what we know, DLCs were pre-planned before the main game was actually released. Like, it was like this in case of Dark Souls 2, in case of Dark Souls 3. But here, it seems like it was quite a different case. That's interesting.
Expansions for previous FromSoft games are notorious for upping the difficulty. Bloodborne's The Old Hunters especially. When we asked about the difficulty spike in light of The Old Hunters, Miyazaki stated that in terms of raw power meters and difficulty level, you could say Shadow of the Erdtree is on a similar footing with the endgame of Elden Ring.
Okay.
As to our general approach to the level of challenge, this has not changed from how we approached the base game. And, of course, we just had to ask Miyazaki if Shadow of the Erdtree will again include a poison swamp.
Ugh.
In a word, yes, he said. But this...
Oh my god, dude. This is such a fucking boomer-like classic game journal humor, dude. Haha. There was no question about covenants at all. Oh well, but let's continue. Maybe we're gonna get positively surprised.
This was actually a point of introspection for me after creating the base game. It was only after creating it that I realised I really like to create poison swamps. And this was a little place of introspection and reflection for me. So
we're really going to
maybe
have reflections on the
reach
swamps.
poison swamp in the DLC, they too will feel a little bit of this retrospection. Shadow of the Erdtree will be released across all platforms on the 21st of June.
Anyway, that's gonna be about it when it comes to interview. That being said, here 52 minutes ago, someone made a list of things that were mentioned in the interview, yeah? So let's go over it. Maybe I missed something. It's From Software's largest expansion yet. I mean, expected honestly. DLC takes place in a brand new map, yes. Martin doesn't provide fresh material, sure. There are over 10 new boss fights, 8 weapon categories. It will be as difficult as the Malenia's boss fight. This is wrong. Malenia is very special boss fight because you cannot just force yourself through the boss fight with Endure for one, yeah? Because she's just going to lifesteal. So the mechanics of Malenia boss fight require you to learn the moveset. But it wasn't said that like all the bosses gonna be like Malenia or whatever. It was said that the boss is gonna be like endgame level when it comes to difficulty, which means the Fire Giant, which is just literal fucking sponge. Malikev, kind of like crazy movement speed type of boss fight that is also kind of gimmicky, because if you are going to use the gimmicks against the guy, like you are significantly lowering the difficulty. So yeah. We wanted to provide these challenging encounters and these menacing threats. And in order to do that, we wanted to give the player a lot of freedom of approach. We wanted them to feel free in how they choose and when they choose to approach and tackle those hardships. That's actually a weird quote. The order in which you conquer them and so on is going to be up to you to decide. So like maybe you're gonna have to kill all, let's say like 5, 6, 7 bosses for the sake of to progress through like some sort of the main gate that is going to lead you to the final boss of the DLC. Well, might be the case, yeah? Field and dungeon areas are more seamlessly interconnected. Well, whatever that means, is just open world is going to feel better. And honestly, that's actually good, because we have plenty of situations, especially in the legacy dungeons in Elden Ring, where you basically have only one way through and no way to come back, which is especially annoying in the invasions when you are, for example, invading in the place that you turn out to be stuck in because you have to wait for the host to come to you because you have no way to go back. So yeah, I'm actually looking up to it. Poison Swamps return, haha. Okay, like this is so fucking cringe. I swear to God, like game journalism at its fucking finest, my dude. Haha, look, we're gonna have Poison Swamps. It's so important. I don't even. Anyway, we got pretty much everything out of it that we wanted. We got some new info. Good, I guess. There is 0 multiplayer questions. Yeah, there is 0 multiplayer questions. There is 0 replayability questions. No information about covenants or anything like that. We have radio silence in that regard, and it is a little bit worrying. I am not worried about PvE part of it and like a one-time gameplay experience. But I am actually legitimately worried about replayability in the DLC, because this is definitely something that I was looking up to, especially covenants, no matter if that's like multiplayer related or PvE related. But we have like 0 information about it so far, which is unfortunate. I am very excited for the idea of freaking 8 new weapon categories, but it sounds so unbelievable, dude. Nonetheless, it's of course From Software's game, From Software's DLC, so it's probably going to be banger.
Memory's broken, Room goes unspoken.